Hello, thank you for stopping by our channel. This is the Juvenile Issues in Cambridge, and on our channel we talk about everything that has to do with living, working and studying in the UK, particularly with a Cambridge focus. So today we are talking about the planned increased immigration fees that Rishi Sunak has announced recently. So let me give you the backstory. The backstory is that if you've been following news in the UK, you'd realize that there's been a lot of strikes from public sector workers, so nurses, doctors, teachers, trained workers, university professors, postmen. They've all been going on strike because cost of living is high, inflation is worse, taxes have gone up and all that, so people can practically complaining that they are living from hand to mouth. So finally the government has responded and has promised between 5 and 7% pay increments for most of these public sector workers. Now Rishi Sunak does not want to borrow because that will impact inflation and make it worse than it already is, and he doesn't want to increase taxes because obviously then there'll be more strikes, and also what's the point in increasing the salary?
So what we have done are two things to find this money. The first is we're going to increase the charges that we have for migrants who are coming to this country when they apply for visas, and indeed something called the immigration health surcharge.
So what he has decided to do is to get over at least £1 billion from migrants, and he plans to do that by raising visa fees and IHS, which is the health surcharge, so international health surcharge. So he's going to increase all of it. Now it hasn't been announced officially how much is going to increase by, but if you look at the trajectory, I mean, when I first came here in 2013, I came on scholarship, so I didn't have to pay. However, in 2016, when I joined my husband as his dependent, I then had to pay for my IHS fee, and the fees are charged yearly, right? So we were coming, I was at that time coming for 4 years, because my husband's PhD was set for 4 years, right? So that meant I had to pay whatever amount times 4. So at that time, I remember it was around £300, and so I had to imagine 300 times 4, how much money I had to pay, £1,200. Now then it increased to £640, I believe. So that's £640 per applicant per year. So if you're coming for, let's say, 3 years, then you can do the math, 640 times 3. And now there's been rumors that it's going to be increased. Some international blogs are saying that it's going to be increased from £640 to about £1,035. But the underlying word is that Rishi Sunak said they're going to increase it significantly. So you just have to be prepared for huge amounts of money. So that being said, what advice will I give to you in this situation? First of all, this is going to affect everyone. So that is migrants who are in here and migrants who are now planning to come into the UK. Now, if you say for migrants who are in here, how is it going to affect them? So for instance, you're switching from one visa route to the other. So for instance, you're on tier 2, you want to move to global talent, then you'd find that your IHS fees would have increased, and your visa fees, your visa application would have increased as well. And so that is how it's going to affect you. So until you've gained your British citizenship, you have to know that you're going to this high increased visa and IHS fees is going to affect you. For those who are coming in, then it's going to affect you as well. So it's going to affect even visit visas. But I know visitors don't have to pay IHS fees, because if you're coming under 6 months then you don't. But this could also change, because they need to raise about £1 billion to pay to make up for the to be able to deliver on the promise they've made to the public sector workers of getting them 5 to 7% pay increment. So they could also suddenly say that even if you're coming under 6 months, you still have to pay for IHS. So that is the sad truth. What I can say is that, what advice I can give to you is that get more money, save more money. So if you're a migrant who is already in here, perhaps the first thing I'll advise you to do in order to get more money and save more money is that maybe you can work hard and get a promotion in your current job, so that means you get more money, and that money, instead of using it to improve upon your lifestyle, you probably save it off towards these visa fees, visa increments. You could also currently maybe cut back on some of the luxuries that you have. But that being said, I don't even think migrants live luxuriously because of all the visa fees that they have to pay. Anyway, but yeah, if you can make some cutbacks, you can look into that. Or alternatively, you can look into creating some kind of passive income, so you can maybe learn how to use these creative applications, sell on create your own store, sell on Shopify, sell on Etsy, Amazon. You can look into all that, so that you maybe create some kind of digital assets where you sell once, and you invest some time and effort, maybe once, or let's say not a lot of times, but then to be bringing you some kind of rolling cash. And there's so many videos on YouTube that teach you how to create some kind of passive income, so you can look into that. Perhaps this may be more controversial, but I'll still say it. You can look into, for instance, telling your family members back home in Africa that you may not be able to remit as much as you can, and if you explain to them the full story, they may be able to empathize with you. I know we always have that adage to guide us, to say that it takes a whole village to raise a person. So that means there's expectation that if you've been able to immigrate to a developed country, then you should be able to remit money back home to help the situation at home. But given the situation now, you can explain to your family members how this thing is going to be and how it's going to impact the money that you remit. You could also look into, if for instance neither you nor your partner has already received settled status, then you could perhaps hold off, if that is available, if that is a choice for you, you could hold off having any further children until one of you has probably gained a settled status, like maybe indefinite leave to remain, because until one of you has settled status, any child that you give birth to that is not born British, so that means they have to pay for, they don't have access to public benefit just like yourself, and they will have to also pay for their visas and immigration. So like for instance, we had to have, for Zoe, when we gave birth to her, at that time we didn't have any settlement, so we had to apply for her visa fees. I mean, we were told that we could wait and not get her immigration documents, but I wasn't comfortable with that idea, so I'm not going to tell you to do that, because you never know, you may want to suddenly go to Africa to visit family and all that, and if you're going, who are you going to leave your child for? So you have to get all those things ready. You know, you may want to travel to Europe to go and do some sightseeing, and you want to go with your child, so yeah, you'd have to it would be advisable to apply for them to have their own documentation to stay here with you. So you can look into that, and if you don't want to do that and you can afford it, then you can decide to hold off having children until one of you has got a settled status. In that case, the child will then be born British. So like right now, if we were to have another child, then our child will be born British, because Richmond, my partner, has settled status now. Okay, and that's why when Richmond got settled status, Zoe then qualified immediately to become a British citizen because she was born here. So you can look into doing that. If you can't hold off, then you'll have to just be ready to do whatever calculation you need to raise that amount of money. So you have to make sure that you're multiplying it. So if you're, let's say, a family of 4, so your any visa change that you have to do, any visa application you have to do, then you have to multiply the cost by 4. So you do the maths. And for those of you who are now coming to the UK, what our advice for you, the advice I'll give to you is that perhaps if you can, if for instance you're a student, you can apply for to get like a full cost scholarship. So like GATE scholarship will cover all your flights, visa, and all the application that comes with it. If you are a worker and you're coming on tier 2, perhaps you can apply for jobs that are classed as shortage occupation, and so that means that most of the time those jobs will also pay for all those visa costs. Like for instance, if you're applying to come and work as a language teacher here, for instance French, you're coming to teach French, then all the visa application costs will be borne for you. So you can look into that, so that you're not just applying for any random job, but perhaps you're applying for jobs that have been listed to be of short supply in the UK. Okay, I'll put the list up for you to see. You could also think about getting some kind of hands-on skills. So like for instance, you can learn braiding hair, you can learn painting, you can learn what else, you can learn a number of things like sewing or even marketing or something, so that you can do some kind of, I don't know, create your own shop on Amazon and be selling these goods from Africa on Amazon. They're in demand in the UK because some of our designs are really nice and people appreciate it. So if you can be creative in that sense of the word, then you can invest knowledge in that, so you can learn about how to do all those kind of things. So that leads me to, actually I need to thank you, all of those of you who have been liking our books that we've been saying they're available on Amazon, and those of you who have been buying the books also. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you supporting us, and we are it's really encouraging us to provide even more unique designs. And if you don't know about it already, we have an Amazon account where we publish books, and they're available on all Amazon platforms. Okay, so we have, so I'll put some of the books are actually behind me. So this is like a sketchbook, and that's also like a notebook. Okay, so yeah, you can go to our page. I'll leave the link in the description box, and you can go and explore some of the designs, and if you find any of them useful, you can just purchase. They're competitively priced, so you'd find that it will be of value to you. And yeah, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like this video, share it with all your friends and family. Someone may need to see or have this information. Thank you so much for all the support that you have given to us so far. We really appreciate it, and do have a very good evening. Bye.